A few days ago, I was looking at some of those channels that we get that we never listen to. We have an antenna, and there are several channels, some of them in another language, that we never tune in. I was meandering through those when I came upon the old show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I didn't realize until I stopped and asked a question online and found out that that show ran from 1999 to 2019, a 20-year run. That's quite a run for a television show. And I know they've got it on now with some celebrities. That's so different. I don't count that. In the early questions on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the show host would always ask some simple question, and the person would know the answer. And then the show host would ask, is that your final answer? And they were able to easily say, yes, final answer. And of course, they went up incrementally then, the ladder toward $1 million. The problem was that after they got to a certain point, then they could lose money. There were secure points. I think one of them was $10,000. And when you answered the $10,000 question, you couldn't lose. You couldn't take home any less than that. But suppose the next question took you up to $20,000. You could get 20, but you could also drop back to 10. And the higher it got, the more insecure the people were with their answers. Now, sitting at home on the sofa, I could say, I know the answer to that, and that's my final answer. Yes, I'm certain. I was sitting on my sofa with nothing to lose. I imagine if I'd been on the show, I would have had to stop and think, now wait a minute, I could lose thousands of dollars here in this game. I better rethink, I better check, I better make sure. And I have seen some of them who thought they knew for sure, but because of the danger of losing dollars, when the show host asked, is that your final answer? They had to take the money and walk away. They couldn't risk losing it. I want to mention to you an area where you need to give a final answer and hold on to it. In my own case, I was 12 years old when I stood on the banks of Black River in Arkansas, and the preacher asked me before the assembled crowd that day, Jimmy, do you believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God? I confidently and quickly answered, yes, I do. And I knew all that you should know in order to start your Christian life. Later on, I thought I was committing my whole life to him. In the face of persecution, in the face of what it could cost me, I was committing my whole life to him. And that is exactly the nature of that confession. I've thought that some people don't know the significance of it because I've heard some preachers say, do you believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God? And do you this and do you that and do you promise that? All of those additional questions are really summed up in that first question. If we understand the significance of Jesus being the Christ, and my owning that means I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. I know that Satan will ask us to reconsider. He'll tempt us to take back that answer. It was too easily given, perhaps. In the face of persecution, was that your final answer? In the face of missing some of the fun of life, was that your final answer? He tempted Jesus, didn't he? I think of the third temptation from Matthew chapter 4. He showed him all the kingdoms of the world and said, all of these will I give you if you'll fall down and worship me. Jesus quickly responded, get behind me, Satan. It is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. When Paul wrote to Timothy, he said in 1 Timothy chapter 6 that Jesus before Pilate made the good confession. That is, he held on to who he was, even when he knew it was going to cost him his life. I trust you've made that good confession. Hold on to it. Satan will ask you again and again, and always be prepared to say, That was my final answer.